Mm, 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 mm. Wake up and think about love. Mm, let's see. All right. Hello, friends. Thank you for joining me on YouTube Live. I see there's lots of people there. Wait a minute. There's nobody there except me. Ah, yes, I wrote something in the chat room, in the chat of the YouTube Live. I wrote, wake up and think about love. Something like that, I wrote. So thank you, friends, enemies, strangers, kind mothers, for coming back to listen to this. So now I'm going to talk about mm, how we wake up to love. And I have the answer here in this manuscript, the secret about how to do so. Yeah, it requires a lot of training, mental training. It requires training of the mind. And this was put together almost 1,000 years ago. It was composed by the Buddhist master Langri Tangpa. And they call it 8 verses for training the mind. Also, so it's actually, it looks like it's 3 or 4 pages long, but it's actually, let's see if I can find the text. Oh, well, let's see, 8 verses, 8 steps to happiness. Let's see if I got the book here in the 8 steps to happiness form. 8 steps to happiness. Where's my 8 steps to happiness book? Hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Oh, it got lost somewhere. There's, I could go online and find a version like it. There's how to understand the mind. Maybe I have it over there. Nope. Let's check over here if I see it. Sometimes I may have moved things around and it ended up over here. No, I don't see it. So I've lost it. It might be one in one of these boxes. Let's see. Yep. No. Oh, it could be in this one. Yeah. Mm, nope. It's giving over. Could it be over there? No, I don't see it. That could be in here. Nope. Let's see. Let's shine a light on this. Could it be in this set of books? Nope. So I know where it's not at, but I know a version of it I could find. I may have it in one of these books, a version of it, a translation of it. Hmm. The four foundation of mindfulness. Mhm. 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 I know. No. Wow. No. 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 No, no, no. Oh, wow. Hmm. What's that? Mm, no, 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 no. Wow. That's too bad that I don't have it. And it's something that I should be practicing um, or contemplating on. It's actually embedded in here. And I just wanted to read it off the 8 verses. That each verse is in this document. Each verse is explained in detail. But I wanted to read all the verses without explanation first. So I guess I could do that still. But but it'll take a little bit of looking for it. It's in it's italicized the first verse. Sometimes the verses are in a little bit different order, but I like verse 4 and 5 or something like that might be switched. But yes. So the first verse goes like this. With the heartfelt desire and determination to attain enlightenment for the welfare of all living beings who are more precious than a wish fulfilling jewel, for accomplishing the supreme goal, may I always cherish them and hold them dear. Okay, I'm not going to try to explain it. I will go to the next verse. Then I'll come back to explain it, maybe. The second verse goes, wherever I am with others, may I think of myself as the lowest of all, and from the very depths of my heart, may I respectfully hold others as supreme. Okay, that was verse 2, according to this. Okay, these verses were originally in Tibetan, as far as I can remember. I don't think they were in Sanskrit and then translated to Tibetan because they were inspired, composed in Tibet mm, by a Tibetan. But he based his composition on Tibetan Buddhist literature, which came from Sanskrit, from India. I don't think it came from Pali. Maybe maybe the Pali might have been translated into Sanskrit. Maybe not. And it wasn't like the regular Hindu Sanskrit. It was like a Buddhist kind of Sanskrit. So it's a little. There might be some differences. Minor, 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 very minor. Okay, verse 3. In all actions, may I closely examine my state of mind, and the moment a disturbing emotion or negative attitude arises, since this may cause harm to myself and others, may I firmly face it and avert it. That was verse 3. Verse 4. Whenever I meet people of unpleasant character, or those overwhelmed by negativity, pain, or suffering, may I cherish and care for them as if I had found a rare and precious treasure, difficult to find. That was verse 4. Mhm. Mm. Let's go to page 3 to go read verse 5. Mm. Oh, wait a minute. Hmm. Okay. What happened to verse 5? Oh, Oh, here it is. Verse 5 was at the bottom of page 2 because it's italicized and everything else is not. Okay. So here's verse 5. Whenever, I should say, whenever, whenever others, because of their jealousy, treat me badly with abuse, insult, slander, or in other unjust ways, may I accept this defeat myself and offer the victory to others. Okay. Verse 6. When someone whom I have benefited or in whom I have placed great trust and hope harms me or treats me in hurtful ways without reason, may I see that person as my precious teacher. That was verse 6. Verse 7. In brief, may I offer both directly and indirectly all help, happiness, and benefit to all beings, my mothers, and may I secretly take upon myself all of their harmful actions, pain, and suffering. That's verse 7. Verse 8. May I keep all these practices undefiled by stains of the 8 worldly concerns: gain, loss, pleasure, pain, praise, blame, fame, dishonor. And by recognizing the emptiness and illusory nature of all existing things, may I liberate, no, may I be liberated from the bondage of attachment and mistaken views of reality. That's verse 8. Okay. So let's go back to the first verse. We're going to go back to the first verse and read up on it and in what is like a commentary on it. And maybe we could understand it better. And then we'll go to the next verse and do the same thing, read up on it. Um, in other words, we're going to unpack each verse, each of these 8 verses that were composed by Geshe Langri Tangpa, maybe 900 years ago. First of all, we should understand that the 8 verses for training the mind is a highly revered text from the Mahayana Lojong mind training tradition. These instructions offer essential practices for cultivating the awakening mind of compassion, wisdom, and love. These 8 verse Lojong, no, this 8 verse Lojong enshrines the very heart of Dharma. So Lojong means mind training. So this 8 verse mind training uh, text enshrines the very heart of Dharma, Buddha Dharma, that is, revealing the true essence of the Mahayana path to liberation. So there's 2 great divisions of Buddhism, the Hinayana or lesser path, and it was the Mahayanists who came up with that word. So it's kind of pejorative. Is it pejorative or pejorative? I think it's pejorative. So kind of insulting for the Mahayanists to have such a narcissistic, egoic attitude to say that the non-Mahayanists are the lesser ones, the ones that don't have it all there. Well, in general, what happened was the Mahayanists ended up accumulating their Buddhist canon in Sanskrit and And they also produced additional material that is not found in the non-Mahayanist, mm, the non-Mahayanist sects. Should I say sects of Buddhism or traditions of Buddhism? Or schools of Buddhism? No, maybe traditions Buddhism. So there's the Mahayana traditions of Buddhism and the Hinayana traditions of Buddhism. And so the Mahayanists are saying Mahayana. They invented that word and they invented Hinayana. So we are the Mahayana. We're the good guys. We're the superior. Maha means greater. I don't think it means beyond. I think it means the top, the greater. Mahatma Gandhi is be the great soul, Maha great, and Atma is soul, Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, so a not so great soul would be a Hinatma, Hinatma. So in the same way, the Mahayana tradition considers itself to be the greater tradition of Buddhism, and the Hinayana tradition, they invented that word that refers to those who are not so great as we Mahayanists are. Those are the lesser tradition, the lesser vehicle tradition. So ayana is the suffix that goes with the word that is part of the word Mahayana. Ayana is vehicle, so it's saying greater vehicle. Hinayana is saying lesser vehicle. So you guys that are not Mahayanists are in the lesser vehicles. You are less than us. We are superior to the Hinayanists. Well, it's they invented it, but it ended up being referred to actual Buddhists who they call themselves the Theravadas, and that refers to a the Buddhists who were there first. You could say the oldest, the elder Buddhists, as in they were there first, so that makes them older. The elders, Theravada. Hmm. So they actually exist, and they're the Buddhists that can be found in Sri Lanka, or used to be called Ceylon, and that's the island south of India. It's pretty big, and they are also found in and but wait, it's also found in other places. But I think most of them are in Sri Lanka and Burma, Myanmar. Oh, Thailand. Oh, yes. That's important to consider. Thailand, because there is a Buddhist temple about an hour or more from where I live. I'm in Winter Park. That's a little north of Orlando. And south of Orlando, there is a city called Kissimmee. And kind of east of that, and there is hidden away a land where the ethnic Thai people bought and built their own temple, Buddhist temple, where they could go worship, receive teachings, pray to the Buddhas, have temples, and have Buddhist monks do rituals and stuff. So that one is called Wat Damaran. I think it's called the Florida Wat Damaran. And maybe you could find it online. Damaram, I think it's spelled Dhammaram. Damaram. So, and what? I think it's not WHAT, but WAT. Maybe it has two T's. Anyway, you could try either both. Let's see. No, what with two T's? That would be for power, a unit of power in electronics, right? In electrical engineering and electricity. Okay, so this text involves something that is only found, or it only relates to the Mahayana tradition, the greater tradition, the greater vehicle. And it was composed in Tibet, which is a Mahayana Buddhist land. But in addition to that, you could have a subcategory of Mahayana call it Tantrayana or Mantrayana, secret Tantra, or Vajrayana. Vajra, and V as in Victor, AJRA. Vajra, that means indestructible. It means diamond. Diamond is indestructible. And it also means lightning, like Zeus. Okay, and it also refers to this instrument. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, 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 here it is. There it is. Vajra. Oh, wow. So it looks like it's got claws, an eagle claw holding something in the middle. These are the claws, you could say. They come to a point. And this one is considered the fifth point. So there's four, and then the fifth one come to a point. Maybe it represents the five elements. Yeah, so the two ends are the same. I think there may be some special in decoration here of a face. Maybe no, maybe the bell has a face, but I think these decorations going around it are there may be 8 of them. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just repeated. Or maybe each one is different. We should look real carefully, see if these things are the same. But this is called a Vajra. V as in Victor, AJRA. Maybe it's like a wand, a magical wand magicians use or use. It could be a portable magic wand to go zap things. Maybe you put a laser beam inside it and go. No, but you're supposed to use it along with a bell. So the bell means wisdom or emptiness, and this Vajra means method. method or action or compassion or maybe passion. Hmm. This uh, could be the lingam, and the bell could be the yoni because it's empty. And so there's a male, and the other one's female. You could think of it that way, but uh, but don't take my word for it. Investigate it for yourself, and because I may be wrong. So there you go. The the the, the fine print. I may be lying. No, but I'm trying not to lie. But I'm trying to interpret it to my understanding. So here I go. So so we know that this mind training text that they call Lo Jong. Lo means mind, and Jong means training. So there it is. So this it's highly revered, and it's part of the Mahayana Lojong mind training tradition. So in these 8 verses, you have instructions or reminders of instructions because you have to unpack each verse to remember. Oh yes, that refers to what I have to do to increase my love and compassion. So these instructions offer essential practices for cultivating the awakening mind of compassion, wisdom, and love. So, in other words, so imagine thinking of our mind, even though it's hard to believe that our mind full of all these horrible thoughts, how uncontrolled it is, that if we settle down in meditation and let our thoughts fall to the bottom, we'd have a clear mind. We could see and we could start thinking clearly, wake up and think clearly. No, but we could have a mind that is so settled that it would allow light to go through it. And this light is that light of love. So there you go. So, in other words, we're going to train the mind in order to let your little love, your little light shine in Christian terms. So anyway, so but it's worded in this way. These instructions offer essential practices for cultivating the awakening mind of compassion, wisdom, and love. So this 8 verse Lojong enshrines the very heart of Dharma, of Buddha Dharma, of the teachings of the Buddha, revealing the true essence of the Mahayana path, the greater vehicle path to liberation, enlightenment. Well, there might be a difference between liberation and enlightenment. I would say liberation is ending suffering, and enlightenment is more like, hold on, I'm not going to liberate myself from suffering until I've gotten everyone around me liberated from suffering. So that's more like a Mahayana aspiration. So even a single line of this practice can be seen as encapsulating the entire teaching of the Buddha. For even a single statement of this mind training practice has the incredible power to help us subdue our self-oriented behavior and mental afflictions. So the fundamental theme of mind training practice is the profound reorientation of our basic attitude, both toward our own self and toward our fellow human beings, as well as toward the events around us. Wow. When it said the events around us, I'm thinking of all the horrible news that's going on around us. So we're going through what happened in October 7th was that Israel was attacked by Hamas, and Israel's pissed off and is attacking back, as it probably should, in our practical ways of doing things, and got political license to kill and backing from the U.S. So, but then there's kind of a backlash against Israel for just what it's doing, which is appears to be nonstop genocide towards the Palestinian people in Gaza. Okay, so that's a brief summary that I don't know all the history too well or the ramifications or what's going to happen, but it's a horrible thing going on, and we could only all I can do is pray. The fundamental theme of mind training is the profound reorientation of our basic attitude, both toward our own self and toward our fellow human beings, as well as toward the events around us. So, in other words, maybe I feel like I can't do anything about it, but maybe I can reorient my basic attitude, and maybe it'll create a wave of love from emanating from my soul towards other souls, like an electromagnetic radiation of love. Not physical electromagnetic radiation necessarily, but maybe a mental electromental magnetism. A spiritual light. Let it shine. Okay, so what else should we know? The goal of mind training practice is the radical transformation of our thoughts, attitudes, and habits. Presently, we tend to cherish the welfare of our own self at the expense of all others. However, the mind training teaching challenges us to reverse this process. This involves a deep understanding of others as true friends and the recognition that our true enemy lies inside of ourselves, not outside. Oh, so maybe I should say, welcome, friends out there and enemies in here, and kind mothers everywhere. Okay, anyway, so that's something to think about. Uh, so, but I have a few more paragraphs before I get to the first verse. So I better hurry. As we practice these law junk teachings in daily life, we train the mind to embrace reality in a completely wholesome, wise, and compassionate way. These excellent practices help us to purify our negativity and awaken the heart by giving us a way to transform adversity, conflict, and hardship into a direct opportunity for spiritual growth. In this way, rather than perceiving difficult people or adverse circumstances in our lives as an obstacle, tragedy, or punishment, we now meet these experiences with deep compassion, wisdom, and skill, using them as our actual practice on the path to enlightenment. By way of these treasured practices, we eliminate our competitive, selfish, and emotionally reactive nature, as well as our false and exaggerated concepts of self, also called self-grasping and self-cherishing. It is important to understand that greed, jealousy, anger, pride, selfishness, and attachment, which cause so much suffering, are actually misperceptions of reality, not inherent conditions of our mind. Therefore, these precious Lojong practices can purify our misperceptions and delusions completely, revealing the natural radiance, clarity, wisdom, and compassion of our true nature. So now we can read the first verse again, and then read a commentary and unpacking of it. So here's the first verse. With the heartfelt desire and determination to attain enlightenment for the welfare of all living beings, who are more precious than a wish-fulfilling jewel for accomplishing the supreme goal, may I always cherish them and hold them dear. Okay, so here's the first verse, the interpretation of it, according to who wrote this article. Doesn't say, but he's got a website, a link to it. So So the first verse, let me read it again. With the heartfelt desire and determination to attain enlightenment for the welfare of all living beings, who are more precious than the wish-fulfilling jewel for accomplishing the supreme goal, may I always cherish them and hold them dear. So, what does that mean? Well, let's see. So it's saying, may I always cherish them and hold them dear. So, what is that cherish them? Well, cherishing and caring for others is the source of all happiness. That's the premise, you could say, of the Mahayana Buddhism. So, cherishing ourselves over others is the source of all suffering and the negative conditions in this world. Oh, I thought it was in the Four Noble Truths that said our suffering is caused by our desire, our grasping. Well, maybe it is because when we're grasping, we're thinking of ourselves instead of others. Anyway, therefore, our determination to attain enlightenment. Uh, hmm, okay, yes, in Mahayana tradition, the the goal is to attain enlightenment for the benefit of others. So you have to have a strong determination to attain enlightenment. So, therefore, our determination to attain that enlightenment should always be motivated by our heartfelt desire to serve the welfare of all living beings. Heartfelt desire to serve the welfare of all living beings. So, what does that mean? So, if we have a determination to attain enlightenment, we should always be motivated. Whatever you do, what is your motivation? It should be I am I am I am doing this to in the service of in the service and in the service of others. I have a desire, a heartfelt desire to serve others, to serve the welfare of all living beings. These others are all living beings, and these others are all my kind mothers. That includes the cockroaches that you're trying to kill. Oh, I ordered some cockroach repellent. It should get here. Uh, Oh, that reminds me. Okay, anyway. The attainment of enlightenment is the supreme goal. That's the supreme goal of Mahayana Buddhism. So if you're going to claim to be a Mahayanist, you should have as your supreme goal, yes, the attainment of enlightenment. You have the supreme goal of attaining enlightenment. And what is enlightenment? It's the ability to wake up and think clearly, to actually never be asleep, to be woke. Woke. There's there's a politically what is that? Politically, what is that word? Not conspiracy, but controversial. It's a politically controversial term, woke. Okay. So, and comes our enlightenment comes not from some mere practices that suddenly, maybe if you meditate on this symbol forever and ever, you will suddenly become enlightened. No, it comes from the cultivation of bodhicitta. What is bodhicitta? What is cultivation? Cultivation in farming. I get the image that I got land and I got soil and I got a plow and I got seeds and I got maybe an ox or a mule or a cow or whatever, and that will help pull the plow, or maybe I have to do it manually by myself or with help from my friends to break the soil and allow me to spread the little seeds into the soil, and maybe I need to water it also. So all these things are considered part of the cultivation. And what are we going to be cultivating? Well, it depends on the seeds we place. So maybe in spiritual terms, maybe we want to cultivate seeds of love, seeds of compassion. And where are we cultivating them? In our mind, in our heart. So, and what is our plow? Maybe our plow is our training the mind, the lojong. Uh, uh, but you'll have to see if my analogy works for you. So the cultivation. Oh, uh, I didn't, or I haven't gotten around to defining the word bodhicitta. So it says here. So our enlightenment comes from the cultivation of bodhicitta. So what is bodhicitta? First of all, we must spell it according to the way it's spelled here. Uh, bod as in body, but without the y, and then hi, bodhi, 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 and that's like a root found in the word the Buddha. So maybe bodhi is awakening, and the Buddha is one who has awakened, who's woke. Okay, so bodhi chitta. Okay, so chitta. Sometimes it's spelled Citta. In this case, it's spelled Chitta. So even though it might be spelled Citta, I think it should be pronounced chitta nevertheless, or maybe it's soft. Shita, bodhicitta. I don't know. It's a Sanskrit word, actually. So I guess you have to find it in the Sanskrit letters, the Devanagari, and figure out how you pronounce each syllable and see if it's she or chi or si. Maybe it's somewhere in between them. Sita, bodhicitta. And we'll have to ask Sanskrit experts. I'm getting a book on Sanskrit, so it's coming in, and maybe it'll help. The cultivation of bodhicitta, and in parentheses, it's got the awakening mind of love, compassion, and wisdom. The awakening mind of love, compassion, and wisdom. Okay, now I know what bodhicitta is. The awakening mind of love, compassion, and wisdom. Let's repeat it 10 times. The awakening mind of love, compassion, and wisdom. The awakening mind of love, compassion, and wisdom. The awakening mind of love, compassion, and the awakening mind of love, compassion, and wisdom. 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 Okay, now we know what bodhicitta is. The awakening mind of love, compassion, and wisdom. So bodhicitta arises from our deepest compassion. Oh, so we maybe have innate compassion within us. So to develop this compassion, to develop this compassion and reach the supreme goal, we need others. In this way, all living beings are the principal source for our spiritual development and for accomplishing the supreme goal of enlightenment. In addition, at some time, each of us has mm, been and will be a source of great kindness and benefit for one another. So, the immense kindness of all living beings is integral to our own human existence. Considering this, we can understand how living beings are even more precious than a wish fulfilling jewel, and that we should always cherish them and hold them dear. So that was in the unpacking of verse 1. Let me repeat verse 1 again. It says, with the heartfelt desire and determination to attain enlightenment for the welfare of all living beings who are more precious than the wish fulfilling jewel for accomplishing the supreme goal, may I always cherish them and hold them dear. Okay. But there's more. That's just verse 1 of 8. Let's go to verse 2. Whenever I am with others, may I think of myself as the lowest of all, and from the very depths of my heart, may I respectfully hold others as supreme. Okay, verse 2, what does that mean? The verse I just read. Okay, so this verse calls us to train the mind in proper humility. And I'm going to turn off the air conditioner because it's kind of loud. It's not too bad, but okay. It is kind of nicer without the noise. So, where was I? So this verse calls us to train the mind in proper humility, eliminating our habitual arrogance and pride by thinking of ourselves as the lowest of all. Okay, so yeah, it's telling me don't forget to think of yourself as the lowest of all. The lowest of all. Maybe you could think of people that are treated badly in society, and they're treated thus because they're considered the lowest of all. Maybe the homeless, maybe the minorities who are poor and have had a history of having gone through in their previous generations, ethnically and racially, of being discriminated because they were brought over as slaves, and then they were given a more rights than before. So still seems to be struggling. So we should think of these as examples of of those who are considered the lowest of all in our society, and we should think of ourselves as just as low as those. So it says, may I think of myself as the lowest of all, even lower than the lowest of all. And from the very depths of my heart, may I respectfully hold others as supreme. So actually, are you actually expecting me to think of myself as the lowest of all? Okay. So yep, this is a training of the mind. So how do you do that? Okay. So it's kind of a training in humility, and hoping it will eliminate our habitual arrogance and pride. We'll be thinking of I'll be thinking of myself as the lowest of all. This certainly is not suggesting we should belittle ourselves. We still should try to maintain some self-esteem and self-confidence. But we should apply this mind training when we overreach. Maybe we're given an inch and we take a mile. We should try to hold back, and we should look for when we have set up an alarm system to catch ourselves when we feel we need to I kind of push our way through the crowd or through traffic. We should have self-esteem and confidence that, but still we need to quietly practice a set up a monitoring system to try to tame our tendency, our exaggerated sense of self-importance, and so cultivate true humility and respect for others. Let's see. So how do we do that really? So it's because, well, why should we do that? See, it's because we have we have through bad habits, we have acquired afflictions. Maybe we have traumas that were the result of things that happened to us, and that they have they have produced in us this mental dis-ease. We have within us a collection of afflictions, and those afflictions include arrogance, superiority, pride, competitiveness. So all these things, they have the opportunity to create disharmony uh, among uh, among the people around you, among people in general, and they may prevent us from learning and evolving. So by respectfully holding others as supreme, we become more humble, more gentle, more open. So I will practice this attitude of being the lowest, or pretending, maybe at least pretend to be lower than the lowest of all. But we have to do it from the very depths. I have to do it from the very depths of my heart, and have humility. Not just show humility, we have to have that humility and a respect for others. We have to treat others as if they are our boss, our master, our Lord, our Jesus, our Savior. Everyone, including a burglar who is trying to rob you, we have to look at them. Oh, he's my Lord. Maybe he's teaching me something. Anyway, as much as you can. That might be hard to do. So, therefore, by respectfully holding others as supreme, we'll become more humble, more gentle, and more open. And this naturally brings harmony and compassion into our relationships and helps us to achieve great qualities, virtues, and spiritual realizations. I know this is hard. Okay, now let's go to verse 3. In all actions, may I closely examine my state of mind, and the moment a disturbing emotion or negative attitude arises, since this may cause harm to myself and others, may I firmly face and avert it. Verse 3. So this verse calls for the sincere practice of mindfulness and closely examine our state of mind throughout all our actions. Through this practice of mindfulness, the teachings encourage us to firmly face and avert any disturbing emotions or negative attitudes the very moment they arise. The reason for this is that our delusions, disturbing emotions, and negative attitudes can provoke us to think, speak, or act in non-virtuous ways, which may cause harm to ourselves and others. This behavior brings karmic consequences and perpetuates our delusion and suffering. Therefore, throughout the day, while working, driving, walking, studying, talking with others, and so forth, we should closely examine our state of mind and heart. By training our mind in this skillful way, we will be able to firmly face and avert disturbing emotions and negative attitudes as they arise and before they develop any further momentum or power. So let me reread verse 3. In all actions, may I closely examine my state of mind, and the moment a disturbing emotion or negative attitude arises, since this may cause harm to myself and others, may I firmly face it and avert it. So maybe this is the alarm system that I was talking about. Yeah, as soon as you notice that that you're going to explode into some kind of action that you will later regret, you will want to quickly, firmly face it and avert it. So this involves a sincere practice of mindfulness. That's the alarm system. And we'll be closely examining our state of mind every second throughout all our actions. Why am I doing this? What's my motivation? Is it going to cause harm to others, to the other person? Why am I demanding that the other person think my way? Hmm. So, yeah, that's humbling to think about. Hopefully not humiliating, but more like humbling, and still make us make us what is the word that's related to humble? Yes, be more humble, more gentle, and more open. So each verse is emphasizing being more humble, more gentle, and more open. Maybe with further intensity, increasing intensity. Okay, now verse 4. Whenever I meet people of unpleasant character or those overwhelmed by negativity, pain, or suffering, may I cherish and care for them as if I had found a rare and precious treasure difficult to find. Oh, this could be summarized as saying, "Ah, these are all my kind mothers. I will I will care for them as if they were my pet dog or cat." Well, if you don't have a pet dog or a cat, like I don't, I could pretend or imagine that I did and say, "Oh, I will be caring towards this person. Take them on as if I'm taking them on as a new pet." Okay, so even when they're unpleasant to us, so whenever we encounter unpleasant people or those overwhelmed by negativity, pain, or suffering, we often prefer to ignore or avoid them rather than cherish and care for them. We may consider ourselves to be more important and more evolved than such beings, and we usually turn from them, as we do not want to be bothered, hurt, or contaminated by their condition. This verse suggests reversing our usual self cherishing attitude by learning to cherish and care for such people, being joyful and grateful as if we had found a rare and precious treasure. To overcome the delusion and egoism, or the egoic mind of our self cherishing mind, we will view this encounter as an opportunity to serve and bring happiness to others rather than a nuisance to be avoided. In this way, our self cherishing mind diminishes our compassion. No. In this way, our self cherishing mind diminishes and our compassion deepens so as to embrace all living beings without exception. So yes, when I encounter a person that others consider the lowest of all, and they're begging for money, for food or whatever, and maybe they're trying to scam me or steal from me, I should try to figure out a way to help them uh, have a little bit more happiness, a little less suffering, a little less conversation, a little more action. Okay. So now let's go to verse 5. Whenever others, because of their jealousy, treat me badly with abuse, insult, slander, or in other unjust ways, may I accept this defeat upon myself and offer the victory to others. So the others are harming me. So I should say, okay, I offer you my defeat. You've won. Go ahead. Slap me on the other cheek. So when you get slapped on one cheek, show the other. That's kind of like that. That's verse 5. Let's see it how it is explained or unpacked. So learning to accept loss and defeat for ourselves and offering gain and victory to others is the very foundation of the Bodhisattva practice. Although it may appear at the worldly level that we suffer loss by way of this practice, ultimately the practitioner receives the greatest benefits of spiritual wealth and virtue. In learning to accept harsh or unjust treatment, we should not allow ourselves to react with anger, behave in the same non-virtuous ways in return, or to abandon others because of their actions toward us. This is the essence of accepting defeat and offering the victory, and the accomplishment of supreme patience and kindness. By accepting defeat and offering the victory to others with the pure motivation of heartfelt compassion, we destroy the ignorance of our self-cherishing at its very roots. This one is very hard. It's getting harder. Each verse seems to get harder and harder. Okay, now let's go to verse 6. When someone whom I have benefited or in whom I have placed great trust and hope harms me or treats me in hurtful ways without reason, may I see that person as my precious teacher. Okay, so it goes even deeper. It's saying, okay, so I show him the other cheek when they're harming me, but I also want to treat them as my precious teacher. I was gonna say, okay, so what else can you teach me? Okay, so let's unpack this verse 6. When we are kind to people, helping them, giving them our trust and hope, we naturally expect to be treated kindly in return. A tit for tat, a tit for tat. When people repay our kindness and trust by harming us or treating us in hurtful ways, we often react with anger, hurt, or disappointment. After such an experience, we may find it difficult to give them our love and respect. This type of ordinary love is conditional and impure. As practitioners of Lojong in the Mahayana tradition, we want to embrace such a situation like this with skillful wisdom. Okay, skillful wisdom. So maybe we have to use a little bit of wisdom before we just give them all our money, and compassion and unconditional love. Therefore, it is essential that we have a way to transform these difficult experiences into the actual path to enlightenment. To accomplish this, we learn to see a person who harms us or treats us in hurtful ways as our precious teacher. This person becomes our precious teacher because of the priceless Dharma lessons we receive. Through their kindness, we also receive the ripening and purification of our own negative karma, which is the inevitable result of our having done a similar thing to someone in the past. In this way, we can see how even our worst enemies can be our greatest benefactors and precious teachers. That's verse 6. Verse 7. In brief, may I offer both directly and indirectly all help, happiness, and benefits to all beings, my mothers, and may I secretly take upon myself all their harmful actions, pains, and sufferings. So not only do I want to show them the other cheek and call them my my precious teacher, but we want to take on their suffering. So this verse refers to the essence of Tonglen practice, giving and taking. We are to offer directly and indirectly our help, happiness, benefits, and skills and resources in loving service to all beings who certainly at some time in the past have been our own mothers. In Tonglen practice, with strong compassion, we visualize taking on the obstacles, problems, illnesses, and sufferings of others. When we visualize giving them all of our happiness, comfort, love, virtue, prosperity, and great insights, uh, um, no, not I did. I read it wrong. I read when we visualize. No, it says we then visualize giving them all of our happiness, comfort, love, virtue, prosperity, and great insights. So we take on their suffering and we give them back our happiness. So this is insanely difficult. In this verse, the word secretly suggests this particular practice of compassion may not be suitable or may be too difficult for beginning practitioners. So that's why it's called secretly. We do it in a secret, and we can't disclose that we're doing it because maybe we get taken advantage of. So we then visualize giving them all of our happiness, comfort, love, virtue, prosperity, and great insights. In this verse, the word secretly suggests this particular practice of compassion may not be suitable or may be too difficult for beginning practitioners. It also means that this practice should be done discreetly and not openly displayed or spoken about so as to gain praise or recognition. And okay, so that was verse 7. This is the Tonglen, giving and taking. Or is it taking and giving? Giving and taking. Giving and taking, or taking and giving. One of the two. And I know that Tong means one and Len means the other. I guess it probably means giving and taking. Okay, so basically, we breathe in their suffering and breathe out our happiness to them. We're giving them our happiness. They're taking on their suffering. Okay, so it's very difficult. So we want to do this secretly. We maybe we don't want to tell others that we're doing it because they would say, "What? Are you crazy?" Okay. Anyway, okay. Verse 8. May I keep all these practices undefiled by stains of the 8 worldly concerns. So there's 8 worldly concerns. They're paired in opposites. There's gain and loss. That's 2. Pleasure and pain. That's 3. Praise and wait a minute. That's 4. Praise and blame. That's 6. Fame and dishonor. That's 8. So the worldly concerns, we're worried. We're worried about our gain and our loss, our pleasure and our pain, our praise and our blame, our fame and our dishonor. Maybe not fame as in becoming a celebrity, but fame as in reputation. Good, you're a good doctor, so you have that reputation, and then maybe if they catch you doing something evil as a doctor, then you will have dishonor. So there's the opposites: fame and dishonor, or good reputation and bad reputation, dishonor. So those are the 8 worldly concerns. So we have to keep these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns. And by recognizing the emptiness illusory nature of all existing things, may I be liberated from the bondage of attachment and mistaken views of reality. Verse 8. It is essential that our spiritual practice not be defiled or stained by the eight worldly concerns. For example, engaging in these practices, hoping to be recognized or praised as an excellent Dharma practitioner, is not the right motivation. Nor should we practice with expectations of gaining something special or pleasurable for ourselves. Our motivation for practice must not become polluted or obscured. Or obscured. Look, uh, 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 by worldly concerns and attachment. The right motivation is to act exclusively and compassionately for the benefit of all. Hmm. Wait a minute. This is verse 8. Where am I? Did I do verse 7? In brief, may I offer both directly and indirectly all help, happiness, and benefit to all beings, my mothers, and may I secretly take upon myself all of their harmful actions, pain, and suffering. Oh, yeah, that was on Tonglen. And then verse 8 is, may I keep all of these practices, undefiled by stains of the eight worldly concerns, gain, loss, pleasure, pain, praise, blame, fame, dishonor, and by recognizing the emptiness and illusory nature of all existing things, may I be liberated from the bondage of attachment and mistaken views of reality. Verse 8. It is essential that our spiritual practice not be defiled or stained by the eight worldly concerns. For example, engaging in these practices hoping to be recognized or praised as an excellent Dharma practitioner is not the right motivation, nor should we practice with expectations of gaining something special or pleasurable for ourselves. Our motivation for practice must not become polluted or obscured by worldly concerns and attachment. The right motivation is to act exclusively and compassionately for the benefit of other beings. Our mind training practice must also be unified with our direct perception of ultimate truth, emptiness. As we gain realization of ultimate truth, we understand the empty, illusory, and impermanent nature of all existing things. With this realization, grasping or clinging to external appearances or being deceived by them diminishes, and we gain liberation from the bondage of attachment and mistaken views of reality. So verse 8, it contains, you could say, contains the wisdom component of bodhicitta, because there's three components in bodhicitta. In this definition of bodhicitta, brief definition of bodhicitta, that was in parentheses. Uh, 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 now here it is in verse 1. So the attainment of enlightenment is the supreme goal. And so our enlightenment comes from the cultivation. Oh, think of farming, cultivation. The cultivation of what? Of bodhicitta. 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 Bodhichitta. What is that? In, in parentheses, it says the awakening mind, no, mind here, mind, not there, mind, mind, heart mind. Think of it as heart mind. Think of it as of our soul, our true self. Our essence, but our essence potentially becoming a Buddha through that, through mind training. We're going to train the mind to become a Buddha. So the attainment of enlightenment is the supreme goal, to become a Buddha. Our enlightenment, how does it arise? It arises from a cultivation of bodhicitta, the awakening mind of love, compassion, and wisdom. Love, compassion, and wisdom. Okay, so there's three components: love, compassion, and wisdom. Love, compassion, and wisdom. Love, compassion. Maybe love and compassion are kind of the same, and wisdom is the other component, or maybe not. Maybe it's a ternary system. Well, compassion and wisdom, one way of thinking of it is analogous to a bird. It has two wings. In order to get going, well, a lot of things have two of these: two eyes, we got two arms, two legs, two this and that, two nostrils, two lungs. The heart is split into the left side and right side. The brain is split into the left and right side. So there's two of everything. So in this case of our mental nature, we could split it into love and compassion on one side and wisdom on the other. So bodhicitta is the mind of awakening love, compassion, and wisdom. Love, compassion on one side and wisdom on the other side. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was let's go over the let's go over the 8 verses briefly without commenting on them. So verse 1, with the heartfelt desire and determination to attain enlightenment for the world for all living beings who are more precious than the wish fulfilling jewel for accomplishing the supreme goal, may I always cherish them and hold them dear. Verse 2, whenever I am whenever I am with others, may I think of myself as the lowest of all, and from the very depths of my heart, may I respectfully hold others as supreme. Verse 3. Oh, what happened to verse 3? Oh, yeah, it's in the bottom. No, verse 3 is still on page 2. In all actions, may I closely examine my state of mind, and the moment a disturbing emotion or negative attitude arises, since this may cause harm to myself and others, may I firmly face and avert it. Verse 4, whenever I meet people of unpleasant character, or those overwhelmed by negativity, pain, or suffering, may I cherish and care for them, as if I had found a rare and precious treasure difficult to find. Verse 5, whenever others, because of their jealousy, treat me badly with abuse, insult, slander, or in other unjust ways, may I accept this defeat myself and offer the victory to others. Verse 6, when someone whom I have benefited or in whom I have placed great trust and hope harms me or treats me in hurtful ways without reason, I see that person as my precious teacher. Verse 7, in brief, may I offer both directly or indirectly all help, happiness, and benefits to all beings, my mothers, and may I secretly take upon myself all of their harmful actions, pains, and suffering. Verse 8, may I keep all of these practices undefiled by stains of the 8 worldly concerns: gain, loss, pleasure, pain, praise, blame, fame, dishonor. And by recognizing the emptiness and illusory nature of all existing things, may I be liberated from the bondage of attachment and mistaken views of reality. Let me flip the phone. Let me flip the phone and I mean flip the lens. Use the other lens so you can see what I was reading. Oh, okay. So I printed it out from a website. So 8 verses for training the mind by Geshe Langri Tangpa. 1054 to 1123. Composed by the. Then the first verse is down here. With the heartfelt desire and determination to attain enlightenment for the welfare of all living beings who are more precious than a wish fulfilling jewel for accomplishing the supreme goal. May I always cherish them and hold them dear. Okay. Verse 2. Second paragraph down. Whenever I am with others, may I think of myself as the lowest of all, and from the very depths of my heart, may I respectfully hold others as supreme. Verse 3. In all actions, may I closely examine my state of mind. In the moment a disturbing emotion or negative attitude arises, since this may cause harm to myself and others, may I firmly face and avert it. Verse 4. Whenever I meet people of unpleasant character or those overwhelmed by negativity, pain, or suffering, may I cherish and care for them as if I had found a rare and precious treasure difficult to find. In verse 5, it's not labeled 5, but in the next page it will be obvious. Whenever others become, no, whenever others, comma, because of their jealousy, comma, treat me badly with abuse, comma, insult, comma, slander, comma, or in other unjust ways, may I accept this defeat myself and offer the victory to others. Let me reread verse 5. Whenever others, because of their jealousy, treat me, trying to focus, treat me badly with abuse, insult, slander, or in other unjust ways, may I accept this defeat myself and offer the victory to others. Okay. Yeah, there's verse 5. Verse 6. Yeah, see, there's here talks about verse 5, and now verse 6. Oh, where is it? Here it is. It's right above where it says verse 6. Is the italicized. When someone whom I have benefited or in whom I have placed great trust and hope harms me or treats me in a hurtful way without reason, may I see that person as my precious teacher. Teacher. That was verse 6. Go down here to get to verse 7. Ooh, there it is. Right above where it says verse 7, it's right up here in italics. In brief, may offer both directly and indirectly all help, happiness, and benefit to all beings, my mothers, and may I secretly take upon myself all of their harmful actions, pain, and suffering. That was verse 7. Okay, now let's go to verse 8. It starts right above it. May I keep all of these practices undefiled by stains of the 8 worldly concerns: gain, loss, pleasure, pain, praise, blame, fame, dishonor. And by recognizing the emptiness and illusory nature of all existing things, may I be liberated from the bondage of attachment and mistaken views of reality. So that explains verse 8. Then in the last page, uh, after explaining verse 8, it gives the source. It says it's this document is administered by SourcePoint Global Outreach, and it's in the subcategory "The Heart of Dharma Collection." it came out of maybe a out of Mount Shasta, California, Naljor Prison, Dharma Service, uh, 10 through 13. And then here's the website that maybe you could find this at sourcepointglobaloutreach.org, what we offer. Or maybe that's in the general information. But within that website, the website called sourcepointglobaloutreach.org, you may find this article. It's probably in the Heart of Dharma collection. Heart of Dharma, as in essential Dharma writings or texts, you could say. Mm. So that was a I don't know if it was brief. It covered all 8 of them pretty well, but still they're difficult to implement. So maybe I haven't covered them well enough so that it would be clear for one to be able to practice all of them, or maybe a few of them. Maybe we have to work on practicing 1 or 2 of them, or get some idea of okay, so maybe I should be more mindful of what I'm doing. Things like that. Whatever little practice you can start using out of what was read, or whatever inspires you to do better out of what you heard. May it may you try to try to uh, try to implement it somehow. May it inspire you to be more mindful of this, of whatever you heard. It maybe you could say, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll try it. So yes, try doing 1 or 2 things out of this and see how it goes. Tell me how it goes. Maybe come back to this. Come back to this. Come back to this. Come back to this website. To no, this YouTube video, and maybe comment below this, where you can comment. This is considered a live up version, so I don't have to edit it or upload it. It's going to be there as soon as available and archived as soon as I hit end. So yes, take what you can from it and try it out and see how it goes and tell me about it. Thank you. May it benefit all sentient beings in some way, and any benefits that I may have acquired, I give it all away to all sentient beings. Or no, maybe my merit, my accumulated merit. May I be able to give it away to all sentient beings. Maybe before giving it away, maybe I could process it in some kind of machine that could multiply it, make it bigger, and so have more of it to give away. Give it away, give it away, give it away. But how to give it away so that it gets to all others? Something to think about. Thank you. Have a good whatever you're doing and whatever you're going to be doing. Have a good time doing it. Have fun and